Now, the National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress has declared the governorship primary election in Edo State inconclusive. In a statement from the party's spokesperson, Felix Morka, says the election will be concluded on Thursday. Morka says the decision is the outcome of an emergency meeting held by the NWC, that's the National Working Committee, to review the report on the primary election. Well, the party had on Saturday held the primary election in Benin, the state capital. However, the primary was marred by violence. In the end, 3 parallel primaries were held, producing different candidates, namely Dennis Idahosa, Anamero Dekari, and Monde Okpebolo, the senator for Edo Central. Meanwhile, bowing to pressure, the chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC Primary Election Committee for the Edo State Governorship, State Governorship election, Hope Uzodinma, is now replaced by Governor Basi Otu as chairman ahead of Thursday's rescheduled continuation of the exercise. Well, for more on this, I'm joined in the studio by Clement Dakas. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria, of course, a professor of law and a member of the All Progressives Congress. He was also a member of the former APC Constitution Review Committee. Thank you so much. Good to have you on Arise Prime Time.
Thank you for having me.
Very shocking to many Nigerians that the APC could not handle a simple primary to pick its flag bearer in the coming election in Edo State for September. Why was that such a difficult thing to do, that you have 3, in some cases, some would say 4 governorship candidates emerging, all of them saying they are the rightful winner? What went wrong?
I think for anybody that is deeply invested in the vitality of our democracy and its institutions, your heart must bleed about the developments that are unfolding in Edo State. And for the APC as a political party, when you step back and look at the developments that unfolded in 2019 in Zamfara State, when the party won virtually every election in Zamfara State. For the governorship, for instance, the party won the election by over 500,000 votes. But then the Supreme Court voided the elections results and declared Bello Metawale, who was then of the PDP and who had scored less than 200,000 votes, the winner of the election. And members of the party that had won elections into the National Assembly, whether it was the Senate or the House of Representatives, or in fact at the state level, members of the House of Assembly, and we lost all of those seats. Now, in view of that experience, and the cacophony that is unfolding in Edo State, I'm deeply saddened by this development.
Right.
And it makes you wonder what drives the desperation. Of course, we understand the dynamics of our politics and the shenanigans that often play out. But we ought to learn the right lessons from our experience in Zamfara State and in a number of other states.
So apparently the APC has not learned any lessons.
Well, I think that the reaction of the National Working Committee is an indication that the party is mindful of the danger of allowing the very unfortunate development in Edo State to take place.
But before that, I mean, the National Working Committee, headed by Abdullahi Ganduje, former governor of Kano State, had actually congratulated Dennis Idahosa
on the strength
only to
of
now backtrack. Exactly, I mean, what could have gone wrong
but that tells you,
if there were issues, why did he congratulate?
No, but that tells you
Dennis Idahosa.
No, but that tells you that the National Working Committee has clearly indicated that it is willing to listen to alternative perspectives, to take stock of the totality of what transpired. Recall that the Governor Hope Uzodinma Committee had made a pronouncement, and as you pointed out in the bit of your report, a number of other individuals laid claims to to being the successful winner of that election. And so I think that the National Working Committee needs to be commended, because the national chairman may well have congratulated Honorable Leader Hosa on the strength of information that it had at its disposal. But thereafter, in light of additional information, the National Working Committee decided to take a holistic look at what transpired, focused on the bigger picture, and I think that the party deserves commendation for taking that bold step. And as you rightly pointed out, in order to inspire confidence in the process, the chairman of that primaries election committee has been replaced by the governor of Cross River State.
But has the damage not been done already? Is the party not already fractured?
But what would have
been Edo State following this?
What would have been the alternative if the party? What would have been the alternative if the party had gone ahead in light of the information that it had? And let me also say this: even though we're having this conversation about the APC and the debacle that we had in Edo State, it saddens me that when you look at what is also unfolding on the platform of some of the other major political parties, whether it is PDP or it is Labour Party, a few days ago I read a communication from a former president of the NBA, Olumide Apata, who is running on the platform of the Labour Party, and he wrote to INEC and said the outcome appears to have been predetermined. If you look at the statement coming from the deputy governor of Edo State, elected on the platform of the PDP, it tells you that it is a systemic challenge that is not peculiar to the APC. But what I would expect...
Are you saying that whatever rot that seems to be going on within the APC now is justified because of a systemic
No, I'm not saying it is justified.
Challenge?
No, I'm just saying that
the APC was supposed to, you know, set a better example of how things should be done, whether at the primary level or whatever. What this is saying, what has happened in Edo State, is the APC lacks internal democracy.
No, the point that I am making, on the other hand, it's not to excuse or to justify what has transpired, but to simply make the point that when you look at the bigger picture, it's a much deeper malaise that we have to deal with at the level of the APC and at the level of our political system and structures. So it's not to excuse it.
What do you think is fundamentally wrong, and how do you begin to deal with it?
I think part of the point that you have drawn attention to is the absence of, or the dearth rather, of internal democracy in the operations of many of our political parties.
Including the
governing
party.
And once that happens, then impunity sets in. And once impunity sets in, then you are sadly confronted with the kind of dilemma that we have at the moment. And so anybody that is invested in the vitality of our democracy, as I pointed out earlier, needs to be deeply concerned about these developments and to stand up and be bold to speak the truth about what needs to be done going forward. Now you asked, what needs to be done?
Right.
I had the pleasure of serving and the privilege of serving as a member of the APC Constitution Review Committee, as you pointed out. And as we went around the country and listened to stakeholders, these were some of the challenges that we were confronted with. And we then resolved that it was important to do whatever needed to be done in order to deepen democracy and expand the frontiers of our democratic experience.
What were some of the key recommendations?
And so there were recommendations that we put in the Constitution, which thankfully were adopted, that bolstered the framework for transparency in the primaries and for accountability, and to then ensure that where people do not meet up or live to the expectations of the party, they're held to account. And my hope is that the National Working Committee will leverage the amendments that were made and hold people to account. Because
so
if we don't hold people to account...
From what you're saying, beyond calling for a rerun of the primary,
yes,
some people should be held to account.
My view is that...
Who and who now? The chairman of that committee who declared Idahosa winner?
It is up to the National Working Committee. I would expect that the National Working Committee will not act in a vacuum. Right. It has received a report. The national chairman initially congratulated Honorable Idahosa, but in view of additional information, decided at an emergency meeting of the National Working Committee that it was imperative to declare the outcome inconclusive and to order that the elections be conducted.
Is it possible that,
tomorrow.
Is it likely that Dennis Idahosa was declared winner because he's been favored in some quarters within both the National Working Committee of the party and, some top people in the APC. Could that be the case?
Well, when you're in a political setting such as this, you hear a lot of things.
Right.
But ultimately, what is the evidence? The fact that the National Working Committee has decided that the outcome is inconclusive, and therefore we need to conclude this process headed by a different chair of the primaries committee, I think itself is a bold statement. And I think that it is important in the context of this that for the conclusion of the primaries, there has to be a level playing field. If people go into a contest and there is apprehension that the outcome has been predetermined, or there is apprehension that there are certain individuals that are already waiting to be crowned, then certainly people will lose confidence in the process. And that is why I underscore the need, beyond the conclusion of the primaries on Thursday, to ensure that those that are adjudged as having not lived up to the ideals of the party as a progressive party are held to account, no matter how highly placed.
What standards would you be putting in place for them to be held to account? I mean, what exactly would be the punitive measures?
The Constitution
are they stated out clearly in the Constitution of the party?
The party has a Constitution. And the mechanism for holding individuals to account are clearly set out in the Constitution.
Like.
And I would expect that the National Working Committee and other relevant organs of the party will do whatever it takes, not only to hold people to account, but to also inspire confidence in the primaries process. Because if we do not go into the general elections with a candidate that earns the respect of the generality of party members and the people of Edo State, then sadly, we're already shooting ourselves in the foot.
And you can say that again. I'm wondering, this rerun, or the idea of completing the primary process, exactly where will the APC start from? When you say that, look, that outcome, or the process is incomplete, where is it going to start from? Are you starting from ground zero, or where exactly?
Well, I can't claim
and I'm wondering if the damage has not been done already.
I can't claim to speak for the National Working Committee, but I would
based
imagine,
on your experience,
but I would imagine that the new chairman of the primaries committee, the governor of Cross River State, would have his mandate set out for him.
Right. Is the APC still a democratic party? Can you really say that confidently, that the APC, the governing party, whether in Edo State or, across the country, not to talk about the federal level, is the APC essentially still a democratic party? Or is it a party that wants to grab power by all means, even within its own party, that it chooses that, look, this is who we want? In the meantime, the electoral law actually allows for different processes, direct, indirect, and of course the consensus candidate. If the party, some elements of the party choose and say, look, this is who we favor, why don't you, sue for, consensus candidacy?
But it would not even be right
Why not?
For a democratic and progressive party to prejudge the outcome of primaries and to say this individual is anointed. That's why there are options, as you rightly pointed out. And the idea is to give the contestants a level playing field to speak to the electorate, and the party should abide by the outcome.
And that seems to be absent, and that's why I'm asking the question as to whether the APC is still a democratic party.
I think that the fact that the National Working Committee of the party is responsive enough to say, in view of the information at our disposal and looking at the bigger picture, we believe that what transpired on Saturday didn't meet the high standards that we have set for ourselves. I think that that is something that needs to be commended.
Let's talk about the journey before the primary that was held on Saturday. Ordinarily, the National Working Committee of the party, of any party for that matter, would inform INEC of the particular venue where the primary would hold. But alas, in the case of the person who was declared winner, before...
Declared winner by
by the chairman of that committee, Hope Uzodinma.
Yes.
Right? That primary did not hold at the, the venue where it was supposed to hold, where they actually informed INEC that it would hold.
I can't speak
that
to that.
in itself already nullifies whatever the process and outcome of that primary would be.
I can't speak to that because INEC, as you rightly pointed out, by law, is supposed to be informed about the date for the conduct of the primaries.
The venue.
And by law, because INEC is required to monitor the process, INEC ought to know what the venue is. I am yet to see a report, and correct me if I'm wrong on this score, if you have seen any. I haven't seen a report from INEC that says that the primaries were not conducted at the venue originally prescribed for that purpose. If you have seen that information, I stand to be corrected, but I haven't seen that report from INEC.
Yeah, but INEC has already made a point that the parties should, ensure that they hold, acceptable primaries.
Absolutely.
That,
but I haven't seen a report.
Live up to standards.
But I haven't seen a report from INEC that says that we went to monitor the conduct of the primaries at the location that was communicated to us, only to be told that it held elsewhere. No, I haven't seen that.
I want to believe that INEC will still come up with that report.
So we'll wait for that report,
see
but I
how
haven't seen that.
That affects, things going forward for APC as it holds that primary in Edo State. Why did it take all of almost 5 days for the NWC of the APC to actually decide, look, this primary was inconclusive? Why did it take that long?
When you're dealing with the
expect that it would have
realities.
been an immediate, reaction or response, if you like, to what, is considered not to be acceptable or, satisfactory.
No, if the party had taken a decision swiftly, it would probably have not had a sense of the bigger picture, as we pointed out. And you can see the danger of an early congratulatory message. And then it turns out that, oh no, this does not give a true picture of what transpired.
Right.
So I think that timeline provided an opportunity to have a sense of the bigger picture and for the NWC to take what I believe to be the right decision, a bold decision, to declare the result inconclusive. And in my recollection, it's not often that you find the National Working Committee of political parties making these kinds of declarations. And that is why my hope is that this is a sign of better things to come.
Well, what are the guarantees that the primaries tomorrow will actually live up to best electoral practices? And is the damage not done already? The other contenders, because I refer to them as the other contenders now, because it's looking like there's a particular candidate that's favored. One needs to underscore that.
Well, I can speak to that.
How much of a level playing field would it be for that contest tomorrow?
I can't speak to that. It will be, frankly, in my view, and I say this with every sense of responsibility, it would be a huge disappointment if there is a preferred candidate and then you give the impression that you're going to provide a level playing field. And my hope is that that's not what will happen, that we would have learned the lessons of the past and get it right this time around.
And are you concerned that the APC going into the governorship election in September may just be a fractured party already, and that may affect the chances or the fortunes of the party at the election? I
expect that in view of what happened on Saturday and some of the developments that have unfolded over the course of time, the party will reach out to all the relevant stakeholders, not only in Edo State, but other gladiators in the political spectrum, and work genuinely towards engendering reconciliation. Reconciliation that demonstrates that we're in this together, and where errors have been made, that we're genuinely committed to correcting those errors. I think that if we're able to do that and to inspire confidence in the electorate and in the members of the party and the larger electorate in Edo State, clearly we'll have a very strong chance of winning the election in Edo State. In
spite of the fact that the APC may have missed the opportunity to say, look, we're an organized party, democratic in every sense of it, and we're about to do the right thing in Edo State. And by the way, why does it seem that the APC wants to have all of the 36 states, including the FCT? How healthy is that for democracy?
I would say that the APC is not driven by any agenda to have a one-party state, because it's not even healthy for our democracy. However, if we go into an electoral contest, we play by the rules, and we win an election fair and square, clearly, that's something to be commended. But I can assure you that the APC is not pushing to have a one-party country. No, certainly not. If we have an opposition that is constructive, an opposition that is not simply driven by considerations other than the need to strengthen our democracy, then of course that's to be commended. But if you play by the rules, you win elections, of course that's to be commended.
A big if you play by the rules. Well, we'll keep an eye on developments in Edo State.
And I would hope that every other political party would play by the rules.
I think you should be more concerned about your party because it's a governing party at the center.
No.
That should be setting the right examples at the state level.
No. Every political party should work within the rules. In the Constitution that are prescribed in the Constitution, in the Electoral Act, and other relevant instruments. As the party that has the privilege to have produced the president of this country. Clearly, there is the burden of expectations along the lines that you have just articulated. And I'm confident that the party is conscious of that imperative. And while there might be some mistakes along the way, we are committed to getting it right.
All right, we'll take you up on that. Professor Dakas, C.J. Dakas, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, member of the APC National Working Committee.
No, not National Working Committee.
Okay, which one is it?
Constitution.
Constitution. Okay. Constitution Review Committee of the APC. Thank you so much for joining us on Arise Prime Time.